A member of the All Progressive Congress and former governor of Ekiti State, Chief Fani-Kayode, has called on the Department of State Services (DSS) and the Nigerian police to rein in famous Kaduna State-based Islamic scholar Sheikh Gumi before he ignites an ethno-religious war in the country with his unguided utterances. Fani-Kayode, a former aviation minister, made a plea in an opinion article he wrote entitled "Ahmad Gumi, Cleric of Blood, Face of Hate," which was obtained by our source. According to the APC chieftain, if Sheikh Gumi is not termed, he will set Nigeria on fire. He noted that the dark forces that the Kaduna-based religious preacher represents have little to do with the great and compassionate faith of Islam, which insists on equity, justice, tolerance, submission to the will of God, and peace. According to his words, "I am a Christian. I was born one and I will die one. I take my faith very seriously and account it as being more important to me than anything else in life. Despite that, I supported and campaigned vigorously for a Muslim-to-Muslim ticket in the 2023 presidential election because I believe that religion has no place in politics and that competence is the relevant factor when it comes to leadership rather than faith. That does not, however, mean that as a Christian, I will stand by quietly and allow anyone to denigrate my faith." He pointed out that both Christians and Muslims should and must be given their due respect, and that leaders of both of great faith must let love guide their every word and action and strive to live together in unity, peace, and harmony. He cautioned that where there were dangers, signals, and circumstances and individuals that might threaten the peace and harmony, Nigerians must challenge and expose them, call them to order before it was too late, and bring them to the attention of the authorities. The dark forces that Ahmad Gumi represents have little to do with the great and compassionate faith of Islam, which insists on equity, justice, tolerance, submission to the will of God, and peace. When he was confronted with a barrage of criticism and outrage from Nigerians after his sermon, Ahmad Gumi expressed no remorse, and instead he said, "I will not respond to irritants in democracy. The only saving grace in this whole ugly episode is the fact that some northern elders have displayed true leadership and commitment to the peace and unity of Nigeria and disowned Gumi over his threats and utterances." Fani-Kayode noted that Bishop El-Buba, Sunday Igboho, and Azari Dokubo have also spoken out against him and his divisive rhetoric on behalf of the church, the Southeast, and the South-South respectively. "I am simply astounded by the hateful disposition of divisive rhetoric coming from a man who lays claim to being a pious and peaceful religious leader. He does not represent reasonable, rational, peace-loving, and serious-minded northern Muslim leaders like the Sultan of Sokoto, the Emir of Kano, the Shehu of Borno, Dahiru Bauchi, Professor Isa Pantami, Senator Ahmed Sani Yerima, Sheikh Ahmad Mohammed, Sani Yahaya Jingi, Sheikh El Zaki, and so many others that we know and whose integrity and commitment to the peace and unity of Nigeria we can vouch for. He only represents the violent, extremist, and murderous beasts that are on the lunatic fringe. Yet, whichever way you view him, one thing is clear: Sheikh Gumi is attempting to ignite a religious and ethnic war in Nigeria, and someone needs to call him to order before it is too late. Where he says Southerners and Christians cannot be trusted with security, that the FCT minister is satanic simply because he received the Israeli ambassador in his office, and that those of us that supported the Muslim to Muslim ticket are worthless hypocrites, money mongers, and accused citizens who chase dollars for pleasure and worldly purposes. It is clear that he has lost touch with reality and that he is looking for trouble. Someone please tell me that there is no longer any place for religious and ethnic politics and bigotry in Nigeria. He dismisses the fact that the president, the vice president, the minister of defense, the minister of state of defense, the national security advisor, the DG of DSS, the DG of NIA, and the chief of air staff, the chief of army staff, and the chief of staff to the president, the speaker of the House of Rep, are all Muslims, and insists that Muslims must also be in charge of the command and control structures of all our security and intelligence agencies, and the three arms of the military, namely the army, the navy, and the air force, should be controlled by Muslims. He made his most absurd and obscene point when he ended his sermon by saying that because Nyesom Wike, the minister of FCT, who happens to be a Southerner and a Christian, received the Israeli ambassador in his office, it means that the Tinubu government are planning to turn Abuja into Tel Aviv, where Muslims will be targeted and killed. I do not believe or subscribe to the erroneous notion that the minister of the FCT is the exclusive preserve of northern Muslims, nor neither do I believe that Nigeria, a nation with over 120 million Christians, should ever sever its diplomatic ties with the state of Israel. A Christian cannot head the FCT because it is in the north, but a Muslim can head NNPC whose oil is in the south. Fani-Kayode also expressed his dismay over the claim by Sheikh Gumi that Nigeria was safer when Muslims were in power and when they controlled the guns, and that Christians cannot be trusted with power. At this point, I really do wonder whether this man is above the law, and I am amazed at the fact that he has not been arrested. He further stated that so many other explosive and provocative things which can be seen in the full text of his sermon, including the absurd, wide, and unsubstantiated allegation that President Goodluck Jonathan, a man that is regarded by many as one of the most restrained, gentle, kind, compassionate, and rational presidents that Nigeria has ever had, and one who simply refused to abuse power, had planned to murder him when he was in power simply because he was a Muslim. On Gumi's comment that Sir Ahmadu Bello, Sir Tafawa Balewa, and other Muslim leaders were killed by mutinous Christian soldiers on the night of January 15, 1966. The former aviation minister pointed out that Chief S.L. Akintola, Brigadier General Ademologun, Colonel Onigwe, Chief Festus Okote Ebo, Colonel Yakubu Pam, Colonel Sodin, and many other Christian political leaders and military officers were also killed by the same people on the same night. He failed to mention the fact that the mutinous soldiers led by Major Emmanuel Ifujuana and Major Kaduna Nzogo murdered both Christians and Muslim leaders on that terrible night. Even though it is true that the January 15, 1966 coup was primarily a Christian one, it is also true that it was crushed and aborted by primarily Christian officers like Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, Captain Paul Tafa, Lieutenant Colonel T.Y. Danjuma, Lieutenant Colonel Martins Adamu, and so many others. In the Northern Officers' Revenge Coup of July 29, 1966, which came 6 months later, 300 Christian Igbo officers were killed, together with a Christian head of state, General Thomas Agiyi Ironsi, and a Christian governor of the Old Western Region, General Adekunle Fajuyi. This revenge coup was led by Northern officers of both Christian and Muslim extraction like Lieutenant Colonel T.Y. Danjuma, Lieutenant Colonel Martins Adamu, Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, Lieutenant Colonel Murtala Mohammed, General Ibrahim Babangida, General Muhammadu Buhari, Lieutenant Colonel IBM Haruna, Lieutenant Ibrahim Abacha, and others. He further stated that Christians killed the head of state, General Murtala Mohammed, in the 1976 Dimka coup, but he forgot to mention the fact that Lieutenant Colonel A.R. Aliyu, Lieutenant Colonel T.K. Adamu, Lieutenant A.B. Umaru, Captain A.A. Aliyu, Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed, and a number of other Muslims were also involved in the execution of that coup, and that Christian officers like Lieutenant Colonel Akintunde Akinshenwi were also killed by the plotters. However, if he insists on arguing that the 1976 coup was a Christian coup, then he must concede the fact that the officers that thwarted it were also merely Christian and were led by General T.Y. Danjuma and the then Chief of Army Staff. Religion and matters of faith are never a factor when people are plotting coup d'etat and military exoneration. Anyone that thinks otherwise is clearly blinded by his own bigotry. He says Christians like to kill, but can he tell us if it was Christians that killed over 100,000 innocent Igbo Christian civilians in 3 months of genocidal pogroms in northern Nigeria in 1966? This is a road where we must never go down because it is known as the road of Kigali. The bitter truth is that Sheikh Gumi's attempt to depict our peaceful Christian faith into one which takes pride and relishes in taking life and shedding human blood is unacceptable. There are good Christians and there are evil ones, just as there are good Muslims and there are evil ones. No one should attempt to demonize or paint all of the adherents of either of these two great faiths in the colors of psychopaths and cold-blooded murderers. More often than not, both Christians and Muslims manifest a display of love and kindness to others. The fact that some do not is not a reflection of their faith, but rather a reflection of their personal disposition, human feelings, and character. This is the point that men like Sheikh Gumi failed to appreciate and conveniently ignore, and we will not sit by silently and allow them to do so. Anyone, no matter how powerful, influential, wealthy, well-connected, loved, revered, or highly placed, that tries to use religion or ethnicity to divide our people, trouble our peace, undermine our security, or destabilize our country, will not only face the full wrath of the living God and the Nigerian people, but will also be brought to justice. Nigeria is a multi-religious, multicultural, multi-ethnic secular state, and therein lies our strength, pride, and joy. There are Nigerian Muslims and Nigerian Christians, and each of these groups have every right under our constitution to express their views, practice their faith, and aspire to man any public office in the land. We do not practice racial segregation, racism, religious bigotry, and appetite here, and we do not harbor slaves and slave masters here. By the grace of God, our nation and our people are one, and nobody, not even a self-seeking, self-obsessed, vicious, divisive, destructive, fiendish, and mischievous little rabble roaster or ethnic and religious bigot like Ahmad Gumi can divide us. I call on the DSS, the Nigerian Police Force, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and all other security services in Nigeria to call this reckless malefactor to order before he set Nigeria on fire. Fani-Kayode, former Minister of Aviation, concluded.